Hey, I'm Ben Silverio.
I'm Rachel Granda-Gluski.
And I'm Ansel Burch.
And it's
Time
to party.
I was trying to do it bad on that time.
We are not doctors. We don't give medical advice. Please drink responsibly. Today's episode was recorded on April 8th, 2025.
Dun, 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 dun.
Society's about to fall.
Yes, Skynet is here, party people. That's the unfortunate reality of our situation. We're coming to you from the past that has been altered, maybe.
Personalized experiences online.
So many things can be said about what's going on right now, but we'll start with, hey, party people, welcome back to Time to Party. Thank you for joining us on this podcast where, you know, we're here and having a grand old time most of the time, even as the world burns. Luckily, we have friends that are really cool, like the incredible Rachel Granda-Gluski.
Yay, that's me.
Thanks for joining us all month long while we talk about Terminator Genisys.
I'm sorry.
If you don't know why Rachel's apologizing, go back and listen to our second episode.
Yeah.
But also, here's a little synopsis from our friends at IMDb. When John Connor, leader of the human resistance, sends Sergeant Kyle Reese back to 1984 to protect Sarah Connor and safeguard the future, an unexpected turn of events creates a fractured timeline. Should probably put a cast on that.
Oh no. I wish I hadn't laughed. That was bad.
Ansel just no-sold that. Like he said it. He said that thing.
Yep, that's...
He's so used to it. Well, if you have made it this far into the month, party people, we are at our edutainment episode. This is the part where we share a very, 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 very shallow dive on a topic that is inspired by the movie that we've been talking about all month. So if you've seen any of the Terminator movies, God, we could be talking about anything right now.
Mm-hmm.
Who even knows? Now, friends, was there something that you wanted to talk about but ultimately decided not to talk about today?
Oh, well, I think we should. Well, do we want to say what we are going to talk about and then talk about the other options? Or are we just talking about the ones that didn't make the cut?
I was just going to go for the stuff that didn't make the cut first.
Okay.
All right. I rejected microprocessors and biometric scanning.
Oh.
Ooh.
Okay.
Ansel got real sciencey.
Really sciencey. How about you, Rachel?
I briefly stumbled down a tablet rabbit hole and then regretted that and came back out.
That's funny because I almost went with tablets also. I also almost went for the Golden Gate Bridge.
Ooh,
Oh.
that's a good one.
But I
Oh
did
man,
not.
now I kind of wish I'd picked school buses.
Mm,
Oh.
would have been good, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let me Google school buses.
All right, party people, now that you know what we didn't pick, let's get into our edutainment. Rachel, would you like to go first, or would you like one of us to go first?
You know what? One of you can go first. I'll
right.
save my...
Okay, so my dive is going to be incredibly shallow because most of what there is to talk about on this topic is scientific mumbo jumbo that would not make for good radio. So I'll just preface that right now. But I want to start by saying magnets, right? They're basically magic.
I'm so excited for this already.
Oh, man.
Right? Nobody knows how magnets work. They're just like, you know, particles that attract other particles. And that's some wild shit by itself. So I wanted to talk about electromagnets. There are a lot of electromagnets in this movie that become very important to the plot making any kind of sense towards the end. They really lean on the magnets are magic side of things for this film.
Since none of them have a visible power source.
Yeah, with no visible power source.
No power sources at all.
What do the magnets do for the time travel device? Tough to say. Apparently, they have very good ones without it being done. We know that. Also, because we know he's weak to magnets, another robot can wrap his arms in electromagnets and punch better, I guess.
Without being affected by said magnets.
I think is what I was supposed to get from that. Do we agree that's what was happening?
I guess.
Yeah.
They were very important.
Yes.
And there were cables coming off of them.
That connected to the other magnets.
Which suggests that they were powered by something.
No, the other magnets.
Is that what that was?
There was no separate power source. They were just little rings of magnets with wires connecting them to the other rings of magnets.
Yep.
Yes, but there was a pigtail wire that went off to nowhere.
And it didn't go anywhere.
I just assumed that was supposed to plug into something.
Nope.
Because Kyle Reese grabs it when it's stuck to the side of the bus.
That's true.
And then
it is just a ring of magnets.
Which I feel like would break his hand, but that's a separate shallow dive for another day.
Yeah. Anyway, so electromagnets. Electromagnets are super cool. When I was working at the Museum of Science and Industry, we did a couple demonstrations on electromagnets. They are absolutely wild, and they are something that has been around a lot longer than I would have thought. The first electromagnet was in 1820. In 1820, Hans Christian Ørsted discovered that electric currents can create a magnetic field. And in the same year, a French scientist, André Marie Ampère, showed that iron could be magnetized by inserting it into one of those magnetic fields. That, I don't know, that's pretty fascinating. That like all the way back in 1820, we were already figuring out electromagnets. And the 1820s into the 1830s were chock a block with discoveries around electromagnetism. It was a big period for that. I think it's probably a lot of how we got into radio discoveries and other transmission discoveries is all going to be around that electromagnetic spectrum and the field that we were able to manipulate thanks to this discovery. So it makes sense that the 1820s is when that started, but it is still, I was very surprised. Electromagnetics and the magnetic domain theory dominated the 1820s up until into the early 1900s. And as early as 1920, we're starting to see magnetic theories of ferromagnetism influence quantum theory. So we're already seeing, like higher levels of physics get accessed through the lens of electromagnetism. And that is where I will stop that thought because your eyes will go crossed.
Yeah, you chose this one because it was less sciencey?
Yeah. Well, I picked this one because when I looked at microprocessors and biometric scanning all had a lot more like companies that were trying to tell you how their thing happened and why their contribution to the science was important, as opposed to electromagnets where all of those people are dead. So we can be a little bit more objective about it. But electromagnets are commonly used in motors and generators and MRI machines. You see them a lot in magnetic locks nowadays. And hopefully someday here in the States, maglev trains would be so nice to have.
So nice.
If only we had someone in charge who could see the value in something like that.
He did, and he didn't finish it.
Pete
Come
Buttigieg.
on.
Yeah, I mean, that's true too.
Where's Train Boy Biden? You had one job.
Right?
Said I miss Pete Buttigieg, and he liked trains.
Oh, yeah. Hey, if Buttigieg wanted to run, I would be an easy sell. I think he's got some good points.
He runs on the platform of train reform.
I'm mean, with
Honestly,
the airplanes currently falling out of the sky, I would love some train reform.
Right.
I love a train.
The coastal Starliner or Starlighter that goes up and down the West Coast is just a gorgeous train.
I bet.
It
God.
has always been like a bucket list item to take the train from Chicago to LA.
Oh, yeah.
And I mostly haven't done it because it is basically cost prohibitive unless you want to ride in coach the entire time, which I don't want to do.
Yeah, but then it's only a couple $100.
Yeah. If you want like a suite though, it's $3,000.
It's true. But those roomettes are pretty nice.
They
and
are.
they come with meals.
We did a roomette when we took the train from Chicago to New Orleans, which was also really a good time.
Yeah, that seems like the way to do that.
I took the train from Chicago to Memphis, and that was such a great time because I got to bring back all the bottles of whiskey that I wanted.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
That's the other nice thing about a train.
They're not going to stop you from bringing all the alcohol.
Yep. No
In
travel
fact, that's
size
arguably
required.
the point of them existing in the first place.
Truly. I even took the train from New York to Chicago, and that was even kind of nice, going through all those mountains and being right by the lakes.
Whenever I take the train home when I go visit my parents in Michigan, because there is a train directly to my hometown.
Oh, nice.
Chicago.
Nice. I did have one last fun fact that I wanted to throw in about electromagnets in my very, very shallow dive. This is a useful piece of information from me to you. Next time you hear someone trying to talk to you about a piece of your car or a piece of your computer, and they think they can just throw the word solenoid in there and confuse you, solenoid just means electromagnet. It's the most common kind of electromagnet. The thing that creates the current, that's a solenoid. So there you go. Go off and be less confused.
Sounds like some type of like marine creature.
Yes, the deep sea solenoid.
Yeah,
here seen for the first time.
See, I thought it was similar to a selkie. You know, some kind of
like a mythological creature. Okay.
Yeah.
Like a zebra.
Here on Mount Olympus, they fight the great solenoid.
I don't know why Selkie was the first mythical creature that came to mind either. Like,
got a lot of letters in common.
I mean, it's a good one. I like Selkies.
As mythical creatures go, very good mythical creatures.
All right. I did smart devices.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
Because of the lovely Genisys tablets linking all your devices together. And I went, I don't know anything about those really. And they're such a part of our life now. So I looked up smart devices. The first smart device actually goes back to the 1960s.
Wow.
It was called the Echo 4, and it was never commercially sold, but it was it was called the kitchen computer. And it was basically like a smart device that would help you like create shopping list and control your home's temperature and turn appliances on and off. And there was a separate kitchen computer developed like a year later that could store receipts, but like they never really sold. They were a little too like tech heavy and they didn't market them well, and so they never actually went anywhere, but they were created and things that people tried to do. Something else that came up that was really fascinating when I was looking up smart devices was some of the earliest things that are technically considered smart devices are Geron technology, which is basically geriatric technology made to help senior citizens, which is basically the like life alert is considered a really early smart device because
that
you
makes
could
sense.
talk to it. Like,
oh yeah,
I've
fallen and I can't get up.
Yeah, I've fallen and I can't get up. That's the exact quote from this article. And then we started seeing like actual like smart homes in like 1998 to the early 2000s. We started getting more actual home automation and that type of thing. And then voice assistants, which I think like Genisys is kind of weird because they don't really tell you what it does. They kind of do, but they really vague about it. It just like links everything together. But it also has a little Android guy who talks to you. And so I looked up when all of the like household assistants became popular. And the first one was originally invented in 1997. Dragon Naturally Speaking became one of the first commercially available voice recognition softwares.
I remember that one.
In 2011, we got Siri from Apple. In 2014, Amazon launched Alexa with the Echo device. And then in 2016, Google debuted the Google Assistant.
Who's your favorite?
I mean, I really have only ever used Siri, but honestly, I didn't like it ever. So the only reason I use it now is for my smartwatch, and it's really for one thing, which is to set a timer. I like to be able to, while I'm cooking, I like to be able to go, "Hey Siri, set a timer for 5 minutes while this egg boils."
Nice.
So that kind of thing.
I use mine for that a lot too.
Yeah, that's pretty much the only thing. We don't own an Alexa. We don't own a Google Assistant or anything. I've always kind of found them creepy, which given the current things they're doing where now they can just record everything you're saying, I don't feel bad about.
I use my Google Assistant for two things. One, to check the weather, even though
That
I could
would
look
probably be good.
outside. And then the other thing is to play my Spotify playlist.
I also ask Siri the weather a lot.
Yeah.
Especially because like when I first get up in the morning and I'm like trying to get the leash on the dog, like I'm like, "Hey Siri, what's the weather? Is it raining? Like what's the weather?" I live in a garden unit, so you can't reliably look out the window and tell what's happening because I'm in the ground. But I also kind of got to do a smart home. I found a really cool article about smart homes. And like the first smart homes were way earlier than I had imagined. Like they definitely started in like the 1950s at World's Fair exhibits. But I think I read that like the actual first like it was a little bit earlier than that. Like they were kind of dreaming this up in the 40s, and then stuff got there was like a big world event or something happening that kind of derailed certain scientific exploration as they focused on other things. So
I don't know what you could be referring to.
yeah, I have no idea. But yeah, it was a cool, and one of the first like smart home devices too was a thermostat. Like those were really the first things that people tried to like digitize. And it says the journey towards smart home technology began with basic yet impactful innovations. Among these, the invention of the thermostat stands as a pivotal moment in the history of home automation. And so they're even talking about the very earliest thermostats are still kind of considered like home, like smart homes almost, because even those like old school dial ones like we had in my parents' house growing up were like very revolutionary for their time. The fact that you could control your furnace from a completely separate room by turning a dial.
Oh, yeah, I suppose.
Which is something I never would have considered. Yeah. And the first patented electric room thermostat was invented in 1883. So that's how old they are.
Wow.
And like the first ones that I think we would really think of as thermostats were like the early 1900s.
That's what I was definitely thinking of. Like, I didn't think 1800s, but that's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is kind of fascinating. This article, I will say, does include a lot of things into home automation that I don't necessarily think we would necessarily think of as a smart home, but it does include things like electric ovens and dishwashers. And I was like, oh, you kind of forget now because those things are so common that they were really like advanced time-saving things for their like when they were originally invented.
The dishwasher, you mean that thing that that my family uses to dry all our dishes in?
My parents don't even have a dishwasher.
Oh, I do, and I love it.
I mean, I also do, and I couldn't live without one anymore, but my parents still hand wash their dishes every night.
The one time when Warwick was like, you can use the dishwasher, right? And I'm like, oh my God, we can.
I never had a dishwasher until I moved to Chicago. My first Chicago apartment had one, and I had to Google how it worked.
Yeah,
Because
no,
I didn't have one growing up, and I had no idea how a
Yep.
dishwasher worked, and I was living alone, so I didn't, like, have a roommate I could ask to be like, "Show me your technology." I had
Yes.
to, like, Google it and be like, how do I turn on I was also Googling things like, should you buy the liquid or the powder? Like, what's the difference? Does it matter? It does, depending on the type of dishwasher.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
And then I had to Google my type of dishwasher to figure out what to put in it.
Yeah, luckily I had work to show me all those things because I had never used it either.
Wow.
I like how Ansel grew up on a farm and he's like, I know how dishwashers work.
We got one shortly before I moved away from the farm. We got a dishwasher put in.
Ansel's like, his name was Johnny. He was very nice.
Yeah. What are we talking about?
Did he link to all of your other kitchen devices? But yeah, I enjoyed my little very shallow dive down like smart homes and voice accessibility and all the kind of things that I were a lot older than honestly I expected them to be, which was kind of cool.
That's super cool. Thanks for sharing, Rachel.
I also love that Life Alert is considered a smart device. I was like, really? Wow.
Honestly, I never would have thought about it, but it makes so much sense.
I never would have thought about it either. But yeah, like once you think about it, you're like, oh, yeah, okay. That makes sense.
That might be the best fact out of the lot.
Because, everybody makes fun of that commercial, but like it was actually kind of life-saving technology.
Hmm?
Oh, yeah. The commercials were hokey as hell, but the actual device, incredible stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in a day before cell phones, what a thing to have as a device that you could wear that would call for help. Like, yeah, genius.
We see you, Life Alert. Hopefully we don't see you in our, houses anytime soon.
Anytime soon.
Well,
my grandmother actually had a Life Alert for a really long time, but hers was one that you had to like press a button.
I guess it's my turn for edutainment. Yeah. Hopefully this shallow dive will inform you and educate you and entertain you and all that stuff. As you may remember, I did not do the Golden Gate Bridge, but I almost did. But my topic is actually inspired by the scene in which we see our heroes fighting with the evil Skynet John Connor on the Golden Gate Bridge.
Oh.
And if you recall, they're traveling by school bus.
Oh.
So I ridiculously chose school buses as my topic this month for edutainment. So again, shallow dive, bro.
I will say, I don't want to derail your shallow dive, but it's the one scene in which we get an actual plausible this guy raised that girl moment. When they get on the school bus and he reflexively tells her to put on her seatbelt.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
Sarah Connor, seatbelt.
Seatbelt.
I can't.
Sorry, carry on.
No, it's just remembering Arnold's impression of Arnold.
Yeah, Arnold's impression of Arnold. He does a few Arnold's impressions of Arnold.
And they're all great.
Nobody does it better, arguably.
The modern school bus, as you may know today, had a bit of a preamble first. So the need for a vehicle to transport children to and from school came in 1852 when Massachusetts passed a law that mandated that children of a certain age must go to school. So along with that law, which soon spread to 31 states by 1900, also came with a way to get kids to the school. So originally they were horse-drawn vehicles that were called school wagons, obviously, or, which I thought was fun, kid hacks. Now, I don't know about you, but when I heard about kid hacks, I was just thinking of some spunky kid on TikTok who was making videos.
No, that I thought of like a weird new age mommy blogger.
Oh my God. Way worse.
How to hack your kids.
I'm sorry, I went to a really dark place with that.
Oh,
That's actually the new horror movie from A24, Kid Hacks.
yeah. Kid hacks.
Oh, that would be such a good A24 film.
Because it would teach you about the value of an education.
This is my time traveler trivia coming in again. Is it because of Hackney carriages?
That's probably what it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, these early school buses, quote unquote, were rickety and uncomfortable. But,
Or maybe the idea of like hacking is like hiking, isn't it? But you're like carrying stuff. I might be misconstruing things.
Oh, I don't know
getting
that
to
one.
doubt. I feel like I need to Urban Dictionary this.
But just the phrase kid hacks, I thought was so cute.
Is that where hacking it comes from?
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, I think.
As in, like,
so,
he couldn't hack it?
Okay, yeah, no, hacking is like a type of, is like a hiking term.
Oh. Look at that. Edutainmentception. So from the kid hacks, the modern school bus is attributed to Ford dealership owner Albert Luce Sr. In 1925, he upgraded the kid hack or school wagon. I'm going to keep saying kid hack because it sounds ridiculous.
Yep.
But yeah, starting in 1925, he made an upgrade by attaching a wooden body to a truck frame, almost to look like a trolley meets Model T. The one downside to his initial invention, though, was that it threatened to fall apart as it rattled on the pavements, on these rural roads. So eventually he had to swap out. He added steel beneath the wooden body to give some stability. And then he eventually started to produce them with all steel bodies in 1935 because there was like an uptick of school bus accidents. So they were really starting to think of like ways to improve the safety.
Wait, are we talking like actual vehicles at this point, or are these still horse-drawn?
Nope, these are actual automobiles.
Oh dear.
And the company that Luce started while making these buses was called Bluebird, which is the leading manufacturer of school buses today.
Wow.
And since 1927, they have sold 550,000 school buses. And I'm like, damn. All right. Like only about 50,000 of those were made by hand by this guy, probably. He's probably very busy.
That's wild.
Yeah, you didn't think I was going to Bluebird, did you?
I mean, I assumed Bluebird would come up somewhere, but to think of them as being like the first one and just dominate the industry from that point forward.
Oh yeah.
Like, wow, good work, Bluebird.
Absolutely. And so now that's how the actual vehicle came about. But when you think of a school bus, I think one thing that comes to mind is the color. The yellow color came from Frank Sire. In 1937, while they were looking into the safety of school buses because of all these freaking accidents, he was trying to think of ways to make a school bus safer. So 2 years later, at a conference dedicated to improving school buses, Sire hung up paint samples on the wall and asked the attendees to pick a color for U.S. school buses. And the winner was the bright yellow that we know today, because it's the easiest color on which to read the vehicle's black lettering in the early morning, and therefore best for safety.
Interesting.
Okay.
The color is known, or was known, as National School Bus Chrome, but it went on to be known as National School Bus Glossy Yellow. A federal law does not explicitly mandate that a school bus be painted yellow, but it is recommended as the best practice of safety. So that's the color they've gone with since 1939.
I think I'd always heard the like urban legend version of that, where it was that like yellow was like an easy color to see in most like weather conditions, whether it be like rain or fog or snow or like bright sunlight, it's still like easy to see yellow. And so that was like something I think I had heard about.
Yeah, that would have been my guess as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that definitely
just
tracks.
It's interesting that it's specifically so you can read the lettering.
I also, this is possibly another urban myth, but I also remember reading somewhere that I think one of the reasons why you don't see a lot of yellow cars is because they don't want them to distract from like you noticing school buses.
Mm.
And they
Oh,
That
don't
would
want
make
it to
sense.
become like a common road feature. So they're just like a lot of automakers just don't make yellow cars because even though it's a very safe, noticeable color, they're like preserving it to protect the children. I don't know if that's true, but it does feel like something that could be accurate.
And that would also track for Volkswagen to ignore that and paint all their Beetles yellow.
Yeah, what
My-
color are school buses in Europe? I wonder. Are they also
that's a
yellow?
good question. I don't know.
Are there like school buses in Europe in the same capacity?
I mean, probably not in the same capacity, but I mean,
Because at least like every like British TV show I've ever watched where they go to school, I think they just take like there's enough normal public
they
transit.
have enough regular public
Yeah,
transit.
they just have to take regular public transit to get to school. Same thing with like Japan. They just already have enough infrastructure that they don't need to like take a school bus.
I suppose if you're going to be all logical about it.
Did you guys take school buses to school?
I did not. I walked through the cemetery and then through the woods.
I was very lucky to be able to take a school bus to school, because our road just happened to be on. So we're out in the country, but our road was paved. The bus could come down the road that we lived on. I just had to walk a half mile down the driveway to get to the road, but we were on the school service line. So yes, I did get to take the bus later in my school career for like junior high. My grade school was just on the other side of the hill, so I didn't have to take the bus for that.
Yeah, I never took a school bus because I was within easy walking distance of my elementary school, and both my my middle school and my first high school were on the path that my mother already drove to work. So she would just drop me off because it was like a half block out of her way. And then my second high school was once again within walking distance.
Yeah, if I was feeling lazy, I just used the regular public transportation bus because city. But but yeah, usually I would just walk. Well, so my grade school was up the street, and then just a quick cut through the woods more north was my high school. So more north through the cemetery and through the woods across the train tracks.
Where are there woods in Philly?
There's a lot of woods in Philly. You know, Penn's Woods, Pennsylvania. That's what that means. It's
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
I'm from Ann Arbor. We had trees everywhere.
Oh, there wasn't just a lot of Anns?
No, there were a lot of arbors.
Just the one Ann.
Just the one Ann.
One Ann,
fun fact. So the UK, Brazil, Australia, Chile, they all use yellow school buses like North America.
Okay.
But in Italy and Ukraine and in Poland, they also use orange school buses.
That makes sense.
But in Japan, they sometimes will use pastels for their buses and just put a bunch of cartoon characters on them.
That makes sense.
Cute.
For Japan. Yeah.
Yeah. Tracks for them.
Yep. If you had told me, like, if you'd phrased that differently, if you'd be like, what country do you think does this?
Yeah. Oh. First guess, Japan, every time. Yep.
Second guess, Korea.
Sure.
Yeah, it would have been Japan or Korea.
Well, all right, party people. We hope that you have been sufficiently edutained. We had a lot of fun facts in there.
Yeah.
Hope you were keeping notes. If not, that tracks. That's on.
There won't be a test.
No,
Thank
there
God.
will not.
I've already forgot what I talked about.
Well, Rachel, thank you for joining us to talk about Terminator Genisys. Thank you also, Curse You, for bringing Jai Courtney
You're
into our
welcome.
lives again.
Specifically to Ben, I'm sorry to the rest of you. I'm just glad I finally got to hear your Jai Courtney rant. It was beautiful. I am,
man.
worth the wait.
I'm glad. I'm happy that I could make someone else happy with my pain. No, but yes. Anyway, you can find us on the internet. I am at Silverio20 on Instagram, Blue Sky, Letterboxd, etc.
I am Orion Has Moxie on Instagram and Blue Sky.
I am at The Indecisionist on all the meta properties, as well as Blue Sky and Reddit, and now on Letterboxd, where you can find information about all of the movies we have watched in all of our seasons of this show.
Follow us and stuff.
Yeah.
If you're still using a social media platform that uses hashtags, feel free to join the conversation with the hashtag Time2Party. That's time, the number 2 party.
As well as Time, the number 2 party, all spelled out, thanks to Warwick. This has been an Indecisionist production. Special thanks to April Moralba for our podcast art, and to Marlon Longett of Marlon and the Shakes for our amazing theme song.
Yes, party people, that does it for us this month. I guess you get one more episode if you really want. But
oh, yeah. There's going to be stuff.
There's going to be so much stuff.
We got on a tangent.
A little bit, but that's part of our charm, isn't it? That's why you listen. Don't even lie. So. I hope so. But
we have banked pretty heavily on that being charming.
I know, right? After 5 seasons, no one's told us it hasn't been yet, so... Unless you're all just hiding this great secret from us.
Hey, get in the comments and tell us if you do like it. It would be very validating.
I don't want to hurt our feelings.
Right. Well, while you continue to not hurt our feelings, please remember to be excellent to each other.
And party on, dudes.
It's been a new.